Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football Monday afternoon. Some massive news for Dan Lanning, this Oregon Ducks program coming out of the recruiting trail. Four-star offensive tackle Cody Green committing to this Oregon Ducks program in the 2026 class. And at least in my opinion, where you want to start with Cody Green, this kid is just a straight-up box checker. At 6'6", 300 pounds, it is really hard to find these kind of bodies that move the way Cody Green does. You're talking about one of the best athletes at the offensive tackle spot in this 2026 class. And on top of all of that, has an 80-plus inch wingspan. There's not a box that Cody Green doesn't check. And I think, why is that so important? I mean, Dan Lanning saw the blueprint during his time at Georgia very clearly. I mean, what has Kirby Smart and this Georgia program done on the recruiting trail? They just collect these kind of bodies at the high school ranks and get them developed in the program. We just saw Oregon and Dan Lanning go out to the transfer portal and pretty much address every single position on their roster. One of those positions that's extremely difficult to address in the transfer portal, one, because there's just not that many good offensive linemen that hit the transfer portal, but more importantly, every program is looking for starting caliber offensive linemen. It's really hard to address that position in the transfer portal, which makes it very important to get it right at the high school ranks. And if you can just build and collect bodies like Cody Green within this Oregon Ducks roster, you're going to be just fine along the line of scrimmage. And that is by far the biggest differentiator from really good college football teams and elite college football teams. And you go back and look at Georgia the last couple of years, Michigan in 2023, what do all those programs have in common? They have elite line of scrimmage play. Dan Lanning is working to that in these high school recruiting classes, and that's why we're so high on this program. Dan Lanning is getting the personnel he needs to win national championships and to consistently compete for national championships. Cody Green's one of those guys. And I think the last thing I want to shout out before we get into the film of Cody Green, Malik Terry. A lot of conversation about Oregon on the recruiting trail. And, just kind of throwing money out. A lot of people like to say Oregon's just winning recruiting battles because of NIL. Now, we've admitted this in the past, right? Oregon, they play in NIL. There's no question about that. Well, guess what? Texas, Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, they all play in NIL as well. What do I think has really led Oregon to have a lot of success on the recruiting trail is the amount of coaches that Dan Lanning has surrounded himself with who are elite recruiters, right? We talked about Rashad Samples and what he's done in the state of Texas. How about Malik Terry on the offensive line? Malik Terry, I know we went to Wake Forest, have known Malik Terry for a while. Malik Terry is one of the up-and-coming offensive line coaches that you see in the country. He is able to connect with these kids at the high school level, emerging as, kind of a rising star. That is one of the reasons that I think Dan Lanning, this Oregon Ducks program, has had so much success on the recruiting trail is, Dan Lanning's been really intentional in terms of the staff that he's surrounded himself with, and they're all elite recruiters. That's part of the reason Oregon's getting it done on the recruiting trail. Now, I want to get into Cody Green. Before we do, and as always, just want to say thank you to you guys and to the Oregon fans. It's been a blast covering this program over the last couple months. The Oregon Ducks commitment sweatshirt has been putting in kind of some overtime, so to speak, over the last couple weeks and months. I've had a blast talking this program. The amount of support y'all continue to show to the fellas, it means the absolute world. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into Cody Green. I think where you want to start is you turn on the film and just say the athleticism that pops out, it's special. And you see it on the first rep right here. He's going to see late a second-level blitzer coming in. Cody Green's ability to say, oh, wait, we got some late pressure coming in. Look at the change of direction. Look at his ability to get outside. It is so hard to find offensive linemen that can move the way Cody Green does. Where, again, this is a late pressure coming in from the second level. Cody Green comes off of it, eats the guy up. The change of direction, the ability to be light on your feet, that type of stuff is next level for Cody Green, who, again, is only a true sophomore in this film. You continue to work through the film and say, really, really comfortable in pass protection. His feet do not get stuck in the grass. And I think the second thing is, all right, we know he's a really good athlete. He's long. He's light on his feet. He's going to be really good in pass protection. How well can Cody Green move people off the line of scrimmage? And that's something that's really important because you look at what, at least in my opinion, made Oregon so special on offense last year. Not only their ability to get it done in the passing attack, but also move people off the line of scrimmage and run the football. This was one of, if not the most balanced offense that we saw in the country. Top 10 in yards per pass, top 10 in yards per carry. It's because they got offensive linemen that can do it both. So we know Cody Green can get it done in pass protection, but what we love, at least what I love about Cody Green, is how good he's off the line of scrimmage in terms of moving bodies off the line. You look at guys like a Johnny Cornelius and Josh Connerly, they can do this. Cody Green can too. When he gets hands on opposing defensive linemen, it is wraps. I mean, he's extremely explosive, powerful hands, powerful lower body. Again, he just kind of washes people down. And so you have an offensive lineman who can hold up and pass. I love this rep here where he's going to show hands. You talk about knowing how to use your hands and use your length. This is something that we don't see a lot of young offensive linemen know how to do. Cody Green knows how to do it. Right? This guy's going to flash his hands. We're just going to take those hands, put them right in the dirt. I mean, again, the technician that goes along with a really good athlete, get to the second level, that's another thing that we're not surprised with, but this is exactly how you want it to look. Double team, work up to the second level, bury the linebacker, really, really clean mover that there's not many things that I don't think Cody Green can do on the offensive line. He is a very polished prospect that has the physical traits, the technical skills. And again, this is a kid that's only going into his junior year. He's enrolling at Mater Dei. And so you know he's only going to be even more of a technician once he gets to Eugene, Oregon. Really like this commitment, for this Oregon Ducks program. You kind of take a sneak peek into the 2025 or 2026 class, for this Oregon Ducks program. You got now 4 commitments, all of which are in the top 150 nationally. We've had this conversation a lot. I know it's really fun to focus on, the 5 stars, the guys who are top 10 in the country, the DeCorian Moores, the DJ Pickett's. What I think is most indicative of really successful programs on the recruiting trail is what they can do in terms of filling out a complete roster. And you look over the last couple of cycles for this Oregon Ducks program, it's just blue chip after blue chip, guys who are top 200, top 250 national players. This roster is just getting filled with blue chip caliber guys at every single position group. The amount of depth, not just the star talent, but the amount of depth that Oregon is creating within this depth chart, that's what stands out to me the most. Another massive get for this Oregon Ducks program. And I'll say this, I think the 2025 class is going to be good for Oregon. The 2026 class, I have a feeling we're going to look up 12 months from now as the 2026 class is winding down and say this might be one of the best classes that we see in the country, especially if Oregon does what we expect them to do on the field in 2024. There is a lot of momentum building with this program. If Oregon can go out, win a Big Ten championship, make a run in the college football playoffs, people are going to believe that, 1, you're going to the NFL if you come to Eugene, but number 2, you're going to have the chance to compete at the highest level of college football. Oregon checking all the boxes on the recruiting trail. Massive commitment from Cody Green. We'll cut it there. Again, appreciate y'all rocking with the boys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.